Previously on The Wizard of What?
Superman!
Garbage!
Who said that?
Me!
This is Harry. Harry Haterson. I know, a little on the nose.
Every superhero released today is complete slop.
Yo, don't you think you're giving a little too much hate towards superhero movies now?
I challenge you to name 5, hell, even 1 superhero movie released today that doesn't deserve hate.
I'll do you one better. I'll name 10.
Wizard? Hello? Neverending Story sucks.
That's it. I am taking away your 4:3 aspect ratio. I can't beat Sabrina's Alakazam!
Color! Where are my black bars? My precious black bars!
Look, I even conjured up myself a new shirt. What do you think? Anyway. With Superman come and gone and Fantastic Four on the horizon, we're in this kind of awkward in-between stage when waiting for the 2 flicks. It's kind of like November. Halloween just passed, and now we have to wait a little bit for Christmas. So this week I had 2 options. I could either A, watch the Smurfs movie with Rihanna,
No!
or B, because someone likes to be a hater, I could stay on the topic of superheroes, or more specifically, superhero fatigue. It's no secret that superhero movies have been getting a lot of hate in the past few years. I don't personally believe in superhero fatigue. I mean, stuff like Invincible, The Boys, the Spider-Verse movies, and X-Men 97 are all still getting a lot of praise to this day. Even with movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, and most recently Superman, prove that as long as you make a good, solid movie with a good script, people will show up to movie theaters. So today I want to do something a little different. I want to go over the top 10 superhero movies released in the 2020s that I feel get a little too much hate. But just to clarify, this is only from 2020 and onward, nothing pre-2019. So if someone will stop screaming, and I know for a fact that I'm gonna get hate for this, I want to give an all-encompassing hear me out. Okay? Okay. So with that out of the way, let's start off the list with number 10. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, come on. You can't possibly think that junk fest is good.
I don't.
What?
Not at all. Despite me being one of the biggest defenders of Marvel Phase 4 and Phase 5, I will admit, Thor: Love and Thunder is the one post-Endgame Marvel movie that I can confidently say is bad. That doesn't mean there isn't anything good in it, like Christian Bale gave a really good performance as the villain, and I really got sucked into Jane's story. I think it was really interesting. You know, when she's not doing her whole eat my hammer bullshit.
But the movie has terrible effects.
A. 1. Uno. Ooh. Singular. Eins. Yeah, whenever people talk about this movie's terrible CGI, they only ever refer to the floating head. And yes, that effect does look pretty bad. That is the only bad effect in the movie. You'll find that this is a pattern on a lot of the movies on this list. All the rest of the effects look pretty good, to be honest. But yes, despite all the good things I just mentioned, it really does not make up for the abundance of unfunny humor. That's why it's all the way on the bottom of the list. My ears are still bleeding from those screaming goats. Number 9. Joker: Folie à Deux. Like Love and Thunder, this is the only movie on this list that I do actually agree is bad. But I think it's bad for a reason that other people say it's bad. I don't like it because it's boring. It's so boring. Most of the movie is spent in the prison, and the prison's not that interesting to look at.
Plus, it's a musical. No one wants to see a musical.
Yeah, it's not like a musical took over the world by storm a month later. I actually don't mind that it's a musical. I love musicals. What I don't like is that the songs in Joker 2 don't connect to what the characters are going through or what they're feeling. It also doesn't help that this is a jukebox musical, and I am not a big fan of jukebox musicals. Some of them I have a personal hatred for, but that is another story and shall be told hopefully never. But the reason why it's on this list is because I can see what they were trying to do with the story. The idea of Arthur being a victim of his own cause and Harley being in love with the Joker, not Arthur Fleck, that is a really interesting idea. But I think it's just a matter of ideas versus execution. And unfortunately, it just wasn't executed well in this movie. But yeah, as someone who adores the first movie, like seriously, I think the first Joker is like top 5 comic book movies of all time for me. I was also disappointed with the sequel. But when everybody is calling it the worst piece of crap ever, even by some of the people who made the movie, I think they're exaggerating a little bit. Number 8. AntMan and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now I'll admit, when I first saw this movie, I was kind of riding that hype train of seeing Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror in this movie, since, you know, he gave a really good performance in Loki. But now thinking back on it, I think the movie is meh. It's not good, but it's definitely not the worst MCU movie ever made. That title still belongs to Thor the Dark World, I don't care what anyone says. But I still really like Kang in this movie.
Bro, Kang got defeated by ants!
No, he did not. And I am tired of everyone saying this. His technology got destroyed by a massive army of giant ants that were basically, compared to him, the size of elephants, which also had technology comparable to his. Besides, he was handling them fine before MODOK betrayed him, doing that whole don't be a dick bullshit. Yeah, that's also pretty dumb. And even after he got run over, he was still kicking Scott's ass and nearly got away before Hope came back. So no, he did not get defeated by ants.
Look at this meat rider trying to defend lazy writing.
I'm not defending lazy writing, I am pointing out what's right in front of you. If you'd paid attention, you would know this.
Harry! What?
Anyway, speaking of MODOK, like everyone says, he does look pretty awful in this. But much like Love and Thunder, only bad effect people point to. But I've said before in my Snow White review that I think it's more so the design than the actual CGI itself. I think it would be better if they gave him like a few scars or a few burns, like make him more deformed. But let's face it, MODOK's not exactly the easiest character to adapt from the comics. The closest we've ever come to a realistic MODOK was in the Avengers game, but even then he just looked like the 100th aimbot that you would fight in the game. And to be fair, I don't think MODOK was that bad in this movie. It's definitely an upgrade from his human counterpart. Now apparently they wanted this movie to feel like a big Avengers-level event movie to wrap up the Ant-Man trilogy. But there's just one problem with that. There's no Avengers! It's just 3 ant people and 2 musical actors. The main reason people like the Ant-Man films is that they're light popcorn flicks. They're meant to be movies that you watch after a big, heavy event to cleanse your palate, if you will. A part of me does kind of respect it going big for the last movie, but it's like vanilla ice cream trying to be tiramisu. You should just stick to your lane, guys. Number 7. Black Adam.
Oh, please. You're just saying that because you had a Black Adam poster on your set.
We'll neither confirm nor deny that. Now this one I can clearly understand why it gets hate. This is a very clear showcase of The Rock's boulder-sized ego.
Because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
That one didn't age quite so well.
It's got a bland villain, and it has a script that feels 2 decades old. But that's kind of why I like it. I grew up with movies like The Mummy or X-Men, and to see a lot of these tropes in these movies, it does feel really nostalgic. Look, here's the thing with The Rock's movies. For the most part, you don't watch them to get Oscar-worthy level writing, acting, or cinematography. You'll watch them to kick your feet up, stuff your face with popcorn, and just watch good-looking people do mindless action. And Black Adam is no exception to that. I realized that the other day when I watched Baywatch for the first time. So yeah, the movie does have their problems, but I still consider it a guilty pleasure of mine. But not as much of a guilty pleasure as... Number 6. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Yeah, I love the Venom movies. The first one came out in 2018. Remember, 2020 and onward. But I think people are being a little too harsh to Let There Be Carnage in particular. Not The Last Dance, I was kind of disappointed with that one. I think the main reason why is because of the way they handled Carnage, having him be in a romance with Screech, and them being like a Bonnie and Clyde type couple. Now, as someone who didn't read the comics and only watched the cartoons growing up...
Fake fan!
Shut up. I really enjoyed this version of Carnage. I think Carnage is a lot better in the 90s show, but the main reason why I like this version of Carnage is because of Woody Harrelson's performance. When he's creepy, he's really creepy. When he's in love, it really looks like he's in love. In a very sadistic kind of way. But I personally enjoyed this movie because of Eddie and Venom's dynamic. They have some really good chemistry, and I absolutely love that scene where they're in Eddie's house and they're fighting like an old married couple. When Venom breaks his nose and Eddie pulls on his tongue, and that whole fight scene, like, it was hysterical. So I know it's not technically that good, but I still love this movie.
Oh, what? You're gonna put It's Morbin Time now on the list, you corporate shell?
Nope. Rest assured, you guys, this is the only Sony Spider-Man-less universe movie that I am putting on this list. I already talked about the Venom movies, but the rest of them, Morbius, Craven, and especially Madam Web, they can kiss my...
We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi! I'm Dora the Explorer! And if you like what you see, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to The Wizard of What?
And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss another upload. Alright.
And now, back to our show.
Oh, come on! You just did it again!
Dude, I have a channel to run. I gotta tell people to...
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Stop that!
It's a package deal, man. Take it or leave it. That's what I thought. Anyway, back to the list. Number 5. Eternals. Even before this whole Marvel hate trend thing started, people were still calling this one of the weaker MCU movies. Hell, it's the first MCU movie to ever get a Rotten Critics score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I can kind of see why. It is pretty boring, there's way too many characters you have to build up from scratch, and it's got another boring villain. Plus, another evil Superman. We don't have nearly enough of those. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it has some things that are worth the price of admission. The powers look unique and stylized. Akari's super speed scenes are some of the best super speed we've ever seen. Not as good as the Quicksilver scenes, but a close second. And some of its characters, like Kingo or Dane Whitman, are really charming. That and it gave us our first listen to Mahershala Ali as Blade. Now Marvel, if we could please get those characters back after Secret Wars, I'd greatly appreciate that. Just, food for thought. I still think the movie's pretty meh, but it's not a complete disaster like everyone says it is. Number 4. The Marvels. Oh boy, the world did this movie more dirty than the double-decker taco. This was the first Marvel movie to ever flop at the box office. Remember, these 3 movies don't count. They were released during a pandemic, a time where everything was flopping, so they don't count. Now, a part of me does kind of get why it gets hate. I mean, it has yet another bland villain, and it does feel a little choppy at times. But the best movie I can compare the Marvels to is AntMan and the Wasp. It's a movie where I could just turn my brain off, sit back, and enjoy.
Can't turn off something that doesn't even turn on.
Oh, what's that? You want me to destroy your Zack Snyder photo too?
Huh? I'm good.
That's what I thought. But even outside of that, there are some things in this movie that are legit pretty good. The performances of the three main ladies and their dynamic are all really good, especially that of Iman Vellani. Yeah, you could say whatever you want about this movie, but you cannot deny that Iman Vellani absolutely nails this character. It also gives us one of, if not the best look we've ever had of Beast. Of course, practicality is always good, but sometimes you need to go the CGI route. But you know, just make sure it's finished. So I guess the movie is pretty meh, but it's one of the higher mehs. Like, not meh, but meh. And hey, I'd rather watch this group of Charlie's Angels rather than, well, Charlie's Angels. Number 3. The Flash. Now before you guys come at me with your pitchforks and your torches and your lightsabers, let me just make one thing, actually a few things, perfectly clear. Yes, Ezra Miller is a terrible human being. Yes, most of the cameos and fan service were done more dirty than the double-decker taco.
You already made that joke!
I'm hungry, okay? Anyways, and the CGI is horrendous. Yeah, remember when I talked about how when people say that a certain movie CGI is terrible, yet they only refer to one scene? Well, here, it's not just one scene, it's like half the movie. So on that front, yes, it does deserve the hate that it gets, but I'm putting it on this list because of one reason. There's many, but there's one reason that stands above them all. It has a great emotional core. Despite all the fan service and multiversal shenanigans, at the end of the day, it's just about a guy who wants to bring his mom back. That scene at the end where he's putting the can of tomatoes back and he's having a conversation with his mom, like, that scene was amazing. The acting especially is incredible. Yeah, you can say whatever you want about Ezra Miller, but here at Wizard of What Studios, we like to separate the art from the artist. The artist can be absolutely terrible, but the art can be something really good. And The Flash was still my favorite part of the Snyder Cut. The idea of Barry becoming his own supervillain by trying to save Batman and Supergirl over and over and failing again and again, that is incredibly interesting. Michael Keaton, he does pretty good as Batman, but I really like the depiction of Supergirl in this. I love how unique it is compared to the other Supergirls. She's a lot more brooding, but it really looks like she's been through a lot. She's seen the worst of humanity. It is a shame we won't get to see her again, but I'm looking forward to Millie Alcock's version. But all those aspects are the reason why I think this movie's worth watching. Just please don't ask me about any Spy Kids level CGI.
That's it, Wizard! You've gone too far into mindless consumerism! Release the light! Never mind!
Number 2. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I will admit, when I first saw this movie, I was a little underwhelmed because I let content creators like Soups and Straw Hat Goofy hype this movie up. It made me think this movie was going to be bigger than No Way Home. Now that's not supposed to be a jab against Soups and Straw Hat Goofy. I love those two. This was entirely my fault. So I guess that one of the big criticisms of the film is that Wanda goes through the same arc that she went through in WandaVision. And yes, while the two arcs are very similar, maybe even a little too similar, I never saw them as exactly the same. In WandaVision, she learns that it's not right to make people suffer to bring back loved ones. She has to grieve like everyone else. But as we saw in the finale, we saw that Wanda was being corrupted by the Darkhold. So in Multiverse of Madness, the reason she's doing all that again is because the Darkhold's corrupting her. It's not until she actually gets to her kids and they're afraid of her that she breaks out of the Darkhold's influence and collapses the castle thingy on top of her. Plus, Elizabeth Olsen gave my favorite performance as the Scarlet Witch in the MCU. In the movie, that is. But the main reason that it's in second place is because it's just too damn cool. The setting is cool. The new universes that they explore are really cool. Plus the fighting is cool. The fight scene with the two strangers fighting with literal music notes? That was just plain awesome. Plus, say whatever you want about Mr. Fantastic giving away Black Bolt's powers, but that led to this awesome death scene. Worth it.
But what about the awful CGI?
Oh, you mean the third eye and that's it? Yeah, that third eye looks terrible, but once again, that is the only bad effect in that movie. The rest of the effects were, well, there's no other word to describe it, but cool. I'm a huge Multiverse of Madness defender, and nothing will ever sway me from it. Now, before we get to the number 1 spot, I do want to go over a few honorable mentions. Black Widow. Movie's pretty meh, but Yelena steals the show, and continues to steal the show in Thunderbolts. Or should I say, the New Avengers. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Pretty much if Thor the Dark World was done better. Just don't ask me about any blood-sucking mermaids.
My dog stepped on a bee.
Birds of Prey. Has a cool style, Ewan McGregor's a cool villain, and it got me craving egg sandwiches. And the number 1 most overhated 2020 superhero movie is Spider-Man No Way Home. This continues to baffle me. When the movie first came out, everyone loved it. They understood that it wasn't just an excuse for fan service. All of the old characters, except for Lizard, each played a part in the story, to bring Peter Parker's character arc full circle, to remind him that with great power comes great responsibility. It left him in a place where he was literally all alone. No one remembers who he is. He made that sacrifice because of what he learned throughout the movie. It's emotional, it's deep, has great performances and action. It's an almost perfect movie. But then everyone decided that hating Marvel was cool now and switched up on this movie faster than Elon Musk. Now people are saying that it's just soulless fan service with no substance, that it ages like milk. Kinda like my shirt. And I seriously have no idea what people are talking about. Maybe they felt like it was crowded because of all the villains, but here's the thing. Unlike something like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they had to build up each villain from scratch, Electro, Green Goblin, and Rhino, in No Way Home, each of the villains had their own separate movie. So you don't need to spend a ton of time establishing them because they had a movie to establish who they are. Which, fun fact, makes No Way Home technically a direct sequel to every Spider-Man movie except for Homecoming. Maybe it has something to do with the effects, and yeah, they can look wonky at times, but because of pandemic restrictions, they had to film a lot of them on sound stages, not on location. But that is going to change for Brand New Day, though. So maybe that's why, but even if that was the case, I am more than willing to overlook it because of all the great things there are. It's my second favorite MCU movie. My favorite's still Infinity War, yeah. Nothing has ever beat that so far. And the amount of forced hate that this movie gets is just, it's absurd. It's just plain absurd. I mean, the Spider-Verse movies have a ton of fan service. Are they nothing but a bunch of cash grabs? No, of course not. So why should this movie be treated any differently? That's why this movie is number 1 for me. Because this movie is so much more than its nostalgia, and I am tired of everyone saying that it is. It's a perfect blend between fan service and emotional storytelling that makes for one of, if not the best, live-action Spider-Man movies.
Well, you're wrong! Wrong on every level! There is nothing good about any modern superhero movie!
Well, if there's anything you take away from this video, is that there's almost no pleasing a hater. Best thing you can do is just ignore them.
Hey, don't ignore me!
Question of the day. What is a superhero movie that you feel gets too much hate? I already told you what mine is. Hell, I made a whole video about it. But let me know what yours are.
I want attention!
That's it. Bippities, boppities. Oh.
No! You did all that just to change your wardrobe?
Yeah, man, Fantastic Four's around the corner, and I'm ready to go watch it. I'm the Wizard of What, and until next time, flame on.
That effect looks so fake! Ah!